everybody. Welcome back to episode 85 of Talkoffamepod podcast with the host, Kylie. I'm so excited to have on award-winning actress and director, Camille. Thank you so much for coming on, Camille.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you're an actress and director. What made you want to start basically doing that and be part of this entertainment industry? Because obviously it's kind of very hard to be in, especially for a woman's perspective. So like what made you want to be in the industry in the first place?
I guess ultimately I love a good challenge. And so I recognize that it was a big leap for me, for myself, especially since I didn't grow up with any kind of immediate influence in the industry. I didn't have any family members who were in the industry. I knew nothing about it. And I didn't even study film in school. I actually went to business school. So this was a huge leap for me, but I truly believe it's where my heart is. I've always had a love for film and telling stories. And even before I knew really what I was doing, I would write stories and scenes. And so I think it just fits, for me, it fits, and it makes sense for me to have this dream, if you will.
Exactly. That's how I was. Like when I was young, I didn't have any influences as well. Like I didn't see myself on screen and all these things. So I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be. And as I grew older, I'm like, I should kind of know by now what I want to be. But I never had any influences. Obviously, my family, now my family within the entertainment industry. Obviously, like I had two cousins that are journalists. So like I was like, I kind of have some background there, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do as I got older. Especially during the pandemic, I'm like, started asking my questions to my parents, a lot of questions. And so I'll be like, I know like 2 years later, I'll be asking questions. That is something I'll be doing. But did you ever kind of expect like to be in the like inside the entertainment industry, like as well like, as an actress and director? Because like you said before, like, you didn't have any influences, you didn't know anything about it. So like, did you kind of think like, oh, this is something I'm going to pursue in the future, or just to kind of think like, oh, I'm probably going to pursue like business, like in the future? Because you said you were studying business, right?
I did, yes. So, me studying business was a mainly a way to appease my parents, because my mom, she was an accountant, and she believed that in order for me to have any kind of security or be able to take care of myself, that I had to go to college. Not going to college was never an option for me. I mean, it could have been if I really wanted to fight with my parents, but um, for me at that time in my life, I really wanted to make them happy, and that's what was going to make them happy. And I knew that I wanted to be a creative, but I didn't know where to start with that. And I didn't have their support. I remember asking, I really wanted to go to NYU because I thought, oh, I can take some really cool acting classes there on the side, and they don't have to know about it.
Yeah.
But when I brought my application to NYU, there was a big pushback from my parents. So
Oh.
yeah, did I know that I'd be working in the industry on the inside? Not at all. Not at all. Because like I said, I didn't know much about it. And I remember just Googling like how to get an audition, how to, just simple stuff like simple things that seem like basic knowledge now. I had I had no idea. I didn't know where to start or who to talk to or who to ask.
Yeah, that's how I was. Like when I first started doing podcasting, I literally had no idea what to do or no experience at all. Like I obviously I listened to podcasts and all these things. I was familiar with what they did and all these things. I'm like, how am I supposed to get interviews? How am I supposed to reach out? Like I didn't know what to do exactly. And obviously, since I was young, like I wanted to be in the entertainment industry as long as I remember it, but I didn't know what I wanted to pursue. So I'm like, oh, if I can't find anything I want to pursue, then I might as well just major something else, like I don't know, like medical stuff or something, like something else. I'm like, this is something I kind of want to pursue, but like I don't know what to pursue. But like, how did you find a passion for acting? Like, this did it really come to you, or is it something that you and like someone like asked you and this you just tried out for? Obviously,
For
like you mentioned
acting?
before.
Oh, well, I would try out scenes in my room after watching a movie, and I can remember Claire Danes had a big influence on me, and so I watched her films. I watched oh my God, what's the name of it? My So-Called Life,
Mm.
and Romeo and Juliet came out, and some other shows that she was a part of. I just thought like, oh my gosh, I want to do what she's doing. Like, this is how, like, I want to do this. And I remember meeting a friend who had done several plays, and he took me to his acting class. And my first time is my first class ever, and I'm up in front of the class, and the teacher gave me a scene to act out. And he said, okay, we'll try it again. And this time, just make some of your own choices between every beat, make a choice. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember doing that and feeling like, oh my God, the world just opened up to me, feeling like
Mm-hmm.
this was the ultimate creating space, if that makes sense. For
Yeah.
me, it felt like I had the most control I've ever had and the most creativity that I've ever had and that I could bring to a project or to something as small as a scene like that. And I just wanted more.
Yeah, I love that. So, like as you kind of talk about acting, those things, you got to play Brianna in Lifetime film Deadly Cheers. Like, what was that experience like portraying Brianna and being part of
That was an amazing experience. I got to work closely with the director, and she had some really incredible insights to the background of my character, Brianna. And we talked a lot about my personal background and my relationship with my mom. And we took a lot of things that I could use for this project. And it felt like I was really close, to her. It
film?
felt like I had her in me. And it was a really cool experience because I just felt like I was so close to the director and with the other actors, even though it was a short filming process. I think we filmed in 3 weeks.
Oh
To,
wow.
yeah, it was a really fast filming uh, process, but it was good. It had heart to it.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
that's like where, like you said before, like you were critical to the director. Obviously, like the roles you play are different, not especially auditioning. Like, how do you like get into the mindset of the characters? Obviously, these are all very different, and especially like sometimes like you can't really like focus on like the character and the mindset of the character that you're trying to portray. Like, how do you usually get into like, the mindset of the character? It's really
Mm.
depend like it's really different for everyone.
Yeah, well, I think that you can always look into the character that you're trying to play and find pieces of them in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even if you're playing a really dark character and there's some evilness in that person, and maybe that's a place you would never go to,
Mm-hmm.
but you can understand in a situation maybe where you felt protective over someone, or you felt like there was this dire need to get something done. You can go and pull from those type of situations to put into this character and make it your own. So
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, no matter what kind of character you're playing, I feel like there's always a piece of you in everyone.
Exactly. Like, what was like out of all the roles you played throughout the years? Like, do you have a favorite role that you betrayed? Obviously, I know it's very hard. Obviously, it's like picking a favorite child, but acting, especially.
Ah, let me see. There's so many. You know what? I produced a short film called Lightning Strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my character in that was a lot of fun. She was kind of a dark character.
Mm-hmm.
Irene was the name of the character. She's kind of dark, was selfish, greedy, and wanted everything for herself. And that was so much fun to play, just to live in that space for a few days.
Like, did
Yeah.
you direct that film as well? Or
I'm sorry?
did you, like, direct that film as well, or did you just act in it?
I did. I directed and produced and I starred in it. That was an
Oh my god.
experience.
That must be, like, the hardest thing, though, because, like, you did all the 3 of those things. Like, what was, like, that experience like? Because, like, I know for some people, it was really hard to be able to do acting, like, directing, producing in one specific role, and I really, like, can't imagine, like, and this is probably so hard. Like, what was that, like, your experience doing
I think that it was a great experience, first of all.
that?
But I do believe that you need an incredible team that you trust around you when you're doing something like that, because
Mhm.
you're doing so much and your eyes can only go so far. When you're in front of the
Mhm.
camera, you want someone to be able to say, hey, that might not mesh well, or, you just need an extra set of eyes. But
Mhm.
also, I have to say, when you're in control of the whole vision, I do believe that there's something more satisfying about it, because you're not just sometimes as actors we have a vision of how a scene will go, or we pick out moments and key things or clues as to what the actors or the characters thinking.
Mhm.
And you never know what's going to happen after editing's done. You might say, hey, where's that moment? You guys didn't catch that? Like, that was a key moment, for that
Yeah.
character. um but when you're the one orchestrating everything,
Yeah, it's a little much easier, like, communication is like
yeah, you can kind of play the story up any way that you want to, and you can take as many key moments to put in or leave out as you want. And
Mhm.
so that led to my love of directing, and I really hope that I can do more of that in the future. But yeah, that project was an experience because there was so much happening.
Exactly. Like, how much, like, when since the pandemic started a couple of years ago, like, how much has it impacted you, like, mentally, or how much, like, work, like, how much impacted you for your work? Because obviously the whole world shut down and we weren't allowed to do anything. And so, like, well, how much has it changed for you with, like, acting, directing, having all these roles and being in person?
Dramatically.
Mhm.
I spent a lot of time at home. I'm sure we all have.
Yeah.
Spent a
I
lot of
think I
time.
spent too much at home. Like, thinking to myself, like, I think I watched too much television over the last 2 years.
Yes, soul searching. I did get a lot of writing done. I didn't even want to talk about that, but I'm not the best writer.
Yeah, me
but
either.
I
Literally
but I
me either.
try. I try. So I did a lot of trying over the pandemic, and I felt like things were kind of on a roll right before we found out about this thing called COVID. And then
Mhm.
when it hit, I felt like everything just went sideways, and it kind of feels like you're just kind of learning how to ride the bicycle again and getting back on just trying to get things in motion all over again.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like, once, like, COVID basically started to, like, stop a little bit, we're allowed to do things. Like, I obviously didn't even start the podcast until late in the pandemic, and I kind of wish I started earlier because, like, all I did during the pandemic early on was basically do nothing. And I felt, and, like, I kind of regret that. I'm like, why am I sitting in my house doing nothing? But that's kind of how we were supposed to do, basically, is that we were stay home, and you really didn't know what to do because we're, like, obviously we're outside living our lives, like, acting, being on sets and doing all those things that we like to do, obviously. So it was kind of hard to kind of adjust being
Yeah.
at home and not, like, being busy as we usually are during that before the pandemic. And obviously, like, how hard was it for you to kind of lay back a little bit and stay at home? Because obviously for me, it drove me absolutely nuts. But then when it first started, I'm like, oh, this is so good. I can have some free time and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, when it first started, I was like, "Oh, this is great. I get to lay around and no one's asking me to go to work. I don't have to do anything. I can catch up on all my shows and just hang out." But there was this underlying fear of what's really happening? What's
Mhm.
what's going on? Is this the end of mankind, like why is the whole world down? I've never seen this before. And that's when I had to kind of go research some of the other pandemics that mankind has been through, to kind of, I guess, know what to expect or have a clue of what to expect. But still, I never, yeah, after some time, I never quite became comfortable with laying around.
Yeah.
And there was just always this antsiness to me, like I've got to get something done. I got to do
Yeah.
something. I gotta, so I think it was good for me to just kind of be pensive for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Like at first, like when I like as of now, like I'm like a workaholic, so I love working. And like obviously, like I just sometimes I'm like I need to actually like rest and just catch up on something like TV shows and stuff. Then when I'm watching something, I'm like I need to get work done. Like it's like it's literally so hard for me to sit down
Like,
for at least 5 minutes and watch something.
right.
And
And
so
my favorite thing to do when I'm not working is to go vacation, and we
mhm.
couldn't vacation anywhere. We couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was really bummed out, and I was just like, "Oh my God, what's happening? What am I going to do with my life?" I was just
Yeah.
freaking out. And
Yeah, that's literally how I felt. I'm like, how is my life gonna like how am I supposed to do live my life again? Like I don't want to wear this stupid mask. Like that's not how I want to live my life. Type of
right.
thing. And so you won actually Best Actress at the Film Innovation LA Film Festival for your work in Desire Lanes. How did you feel about being awarded that for your work in film? And yeah.
I was surprised, honestly. There were so many good films in that film festival. Um, when I found out, I was like, "What, really?" Like, "Oh my God."
Mhm.
It's always, I guess, nice to feel like someone recognizes you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's really the best feeling in the world. Like when someone reaches out or awards you something for your work, it really is the best feeling. I feel.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I was just surprised. I'm like, "Really? Like, are you sure?" Like,
Yeah, are you sure?
"Okay."
Like me about people? Like,
Yeah.
and so do you have anyone they look up to as an actress or a director per se? Or just kind of in general? Do you have anyone they look up to?
I do. I love Viola Davis. I talk about her a lot
Mhm.
in interviews.
She's Viola
She's
Davis is
probably
so
seen that
amazing.
by now. She probably thinks I'm, like, stalking her. Viola Davis, I'm a huge fan of. I think she's an incredible actress. She has her production company, Juvie Productions, and, I'm just like, "Oh, she's doing it. She's doing it." Like, I just wanna, I wanna I wanna just
Basically,
be
do
on
the
the
same
same playing
things.
field.
Like try to like live it all, do as much work and like basically be as big as her. That's literally kind of how I feel. Like basically,
Yeah.
like as many people, if people listen to this podcast, like they know I'm a huge Gina Davis fan. If she watches this, she probably think like I'm a stalker too. The amount of times I say her name like every episode or something.
Gina Davis is great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, A League of Their Own. Ugh, I
Mm-hmm.
talk
That's
about it
literally my
all
favorite
the time.
movie of all time.
Yeah, I watched it over and over and over and
Me too.
over.
I would never get bored of it. Like I see it so many times, and my mom be like, "Kylie, can you at least put something else on?" Like that's you can't stop watching your League of Their Own like every single time you put on the TV. Like,
Right, it's just so good, and to think it was a true story, it's
mhm.
wow.
It's just crazy because there's not a lot of like true like there's not like a lot of movies that are based on true stories. Especially if there's a baseball movie with just women, like there's not a lot of things like that. And so it's like one in a million, especially like there's like a obviously there's a lot of baseball movies, but there's obviously all men movies like baseball, football, and all those things. And like you rarely never see women playing sports or
No,
any like sports movies starring women. So it's really rare to see women playing baseball and everything.
I think Netflix or someone should pick up or should make a show out of A League of Their Own.
I
I'd
think
watch.
they are actually.
Are they really?
Yeah, I saw something they're making a show. I think Amazon Prime picked it up or something.
Oh,
I
wow.
have to look it up. I know they're making a show. I think it was Amazon Prime. I'm not
Oh,
100%.
Well, hopefully Gina Davis will be a part of it.
You may never know. You may
I
never
know.
know. And so obviously the final question is, what advice do you have for like young people who are just starting their careers, especially in relation to acting and directing?
I think if you're young and you live with your parents, it's important to have your parents on board.
Yeah.
And I think I was too shy when I was young
Yeah,
to
me
be
too.
to be vocal enough to them, like, no, I'm serious. This is what I really want to do. 100%.
Hmm.
Either you support me or you don't, but I'm going for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have the balls to say that. And so I would say if you know that this is what you want to do, um, you should let them know because I think it's imperative to have their support when you're young. I
Hmm.
see young actors and their parents are taking them to auditions and castings and recording and helping them throughout their day, and they're still getting their schoolwork done.
Hmm.
It takes more than one person to get that done and
Hmm.
to help you go for your dreams. So
Exactly, exactly. Like I for when I was young, I basically started quitting something in a couple of weeks. So like, when I first started this podcast, I'm like, oh god, like it's probably gonna last a couple of weeks too. Like this is probably something one will say that I just quit a couple of weeks. And it's like once I first start talk to my parents about this, I'm like I don't know, like if they will how they will feel about it because obviously I literally quit things very easily. And I
mm,
didn't know how my parents felt about me having a podcast and being myself out there. I'm like,
yeah.
God, like I feel like this is a bad idea, but I feel like this is a good idea like at the same time. So there's a lot of like pros and cons to it. And I started, I'm like, thank God I actually started this, or else like I would be like hiding in shadows and doing nothing like I used to during the pandemic.
Good for you. Good for you. Yes, you did it. And yeah, you have to go for it. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that you just started it. You said, you
Exactly.
know
So
what? I'm doing
like,
it.
mhm. And so thanks so much for jumping on the podcast. It was so great speaking with
Of
you. You're
course.
seriously amazing, and keep up the good work because you're really doing awesome. And so like, where can people find you on social media if they want to look you up and everything?
You can find me on Instagram at Camille Calvin 1. You can also go to my website, camillecalvin.com.
Awesome. So everyone go check her out. And yeah, so thanks so much for jumping on. And we'll definitely keep in touch for sure and
Thank
everything. So thanks
you.
so much for jumping
Thank you so much for having me. All right.
on.
Have
Absolutely.
a good
Talk to you
day.
soon. Bye.
Bye.